Candace, you're known for your commentary. You are the Director of Urban Engagement at the conservative advocacy group Turning Point USA. You were pursuing an undergraduate degree in journalism at the University of Rhode Island. You left school. You said, that's enough. You launched socialautopsy.com in 2016, a website where you were exposing bullies and so forth. Now, this is very interesting.
Candace Owens is an American author, talk show host, political commentator, and an activist. Owens, while in college, launched socialautopsy.com, a website she stated her intentions to expose bullies on the internet by tracking their digital footprint.
Human race has never been more connected. It takes a nanosecond, a mere push of a button, to share our ideas, opinions, and emotions across the world instantly. But for every cat meme your best friend tweets at you, or for every I miss you comment your grandma leaves on your Facebook wall, there are literally thousands of instances of hate speech being circulated online. Because when communication happens through a screen, and when moments are experienced through a lens, a terrifying extraction takes place. The age of technology and social media has slowly disintegrated individual accountability, the consequences of which are devastating. We are fostering a society of online bullying, social tormenting, and irresponsible sharing. With the ability to privatize social profiles and use pseudonyms in place of real names, it has been a free-for-all. That is, until now. Introducing Social Autopsy.
The site would have solicited users to take screenshots of offensive posts. She started crowdfunding and she kickstarted the startup website, but was later shut down because it was extremely controversial and she got major criticism of anonymizing, doxing, and violating internet privacy. After dropping out of college junior year, her major was, of course, journalism at the University of Rhode Island. Interned at Vogue, later moving up to administrative assistant for a private equity firm in Manhattan, New York, moving up to vice president at that particular administration. Fast forward to current, she is on YouTube, has her own show, Candace, on the Daily Wire, based in Nashville, Tennessee. Her website is www.candaceowens.com. She has a bright future. Can't wait to see what's coming ahead. It's just glorious. Let's see her in action. Editor, roll the clip. Fair use.
I did not.
You've become a fairly recent conservative.
That is true.
How did you reach that point?
Well, I like to say now that the reason I'm conservative is because I used to be a liberal, and I learned a lot. Obviously, growing up in a black household, there's a lot of emphasis placed on black people today being liberals, being Democrats. It's pretty much programmed into us via the public school system that is the only option for us, because Republicans, of course, are racist and they want to harm the black community. And I had a different experience in life, realizing that everything in my life seemed to be going wrong. I was blaming the world for everything that was going wrong. There was no personal responsibility, because in a lot of these liberal movements, you're essentially taught that there's always someone else that you can blame. And you're pointing the finger at everybody else. You're not looking internally to fix things, and you'll find that things will continue to go wrong. So during the 2016 election cycle, I was watching our wonderful president take a run for the White House, and the conversation was very strange. The rhetoric that the media was using was extremely aggressive. They were trying to convince me that he was a racist, that he was a sexist, that he was a misogynist, at one point that he was incestuous, right? They started that horrible story about Ivanka Trump, and at one point that he was a rapist. And I said, this is very strange. I grew up in a household listening to hip-hop music. Trump was glorified in a lot of those music, and a lot of those songs, and all of a sudden they wanted me to believe that he was a racist. So I had to ask myself in that moment, is it plausible that racism is being used as a theme to turn black people into single-issue voters? And the answer to that question is, of course, yes.
You guys may have heard this if you read my book, but my grandfather was very big on breakfast, and he would cook us a giant Southern breakfast every single morning before school. And he always wanted us to say good morning. And on a particular morning, I remember being so tired, getting up at 5 a.m., rubbing my eyes, and you could smell breakfast, smell bacon in the morning, and I'd walk downstairs, And I'd just sit down at the table, and my grandfather would come with plates, and he'd put down a plate in front of my two sisters, in front of my brother, and he wouldn't have a plate for me. And I'd look up and I'd go, what's going on? Why is there no plate for me? And he would just pretend he didn't see me and just keep speaking to my sisters. And I'd look up and I'd say, Granddad, why is there no plate for me? And my grandfather would say, did you guys hear something? And then I registered that I had forgotten to say good morning. It was a very big deal. You had to say good morning or you were not going to get a plate. And the second I said good morning, he'd turn around and he'd say, oh, baby, there you are. It's so good to see you. Let me get you a plate. And he'd jump up and he'd make a plate. And then that was that. I'm older now and I see the lesson in that. I can look back and I can understand why that was so important to him. And I think the lesson for all of us is you are not a big enough excuse. You are not a big enough excuse. We all get so caught up in ourselves and what we are going through and what we are feeling that we sometimes abandon the basics. Respect and decency are the basics. The small things matter. They add up. The girl handing you your coffee through the drive-through window, the person delivering your package, those are people too. So why don't you forget about you for a second and say good morning? That's the point.
And what does conservatism mean to you?
Well, if you look at the inverse, I think liberalism to me means bondage, and conservatism means freedom. The freedom to choose, the freedom to have responsibility to go after things in life. It's the founding principles of this country, that any person could come to this country with the clothing on their back and make something of themselves. I learned conservatism through my grandfather. I didn't know that that was the name. I didn't know these were conservative principles. Starting his life on a sharecropping farm, working tremendously hard, 5 years old, picking cotton and laying tobacco out to dry on a farm. And today he now owns that farm. That was the American dream. And we lost that. We gave that up as government got bigger and the individual got smaller.
And this is all quite important from a philosophical perspective. You just related it to your own family. Is conservatism about individualism?
Absolutely.
Is conservatism about a circle of liberty that surrounds each individual that government must never penetrate?
Every single person in here, I believe, has had a series of experiences that are prompting them to do something great in this world. At the moment that you believe in yourself, at the moment that you get back to your center, that you align yourself with the universe, with God, the universe will open itself up to you. It certainly did for me. Maybe not every person is going to do what I did. Maybe not every person is going to quit their job and decide they're going to make YouTube videos. But make no mistake, there is a cultural war happening, and every single one of you can do something and participate in it in some regard. My focus, obviously, has been on presenting a new perspective to the Black community. I think we are in desperate need of new voices in the Black community. We are in desperate need of somebody that will stand on a platform and say, hey, it's actually not cool to be a victim. There's no value in being a victim. You win no awards for being a victim.
Family first, family last, family always. In the scheme of everything that is going on in the world, family should always represent to each and every one of us the first, the last, and the greatest point.
And to me, I think it's individualism. It's believing in yourself. It's standing up in the face of everybody telling you you can't. You're not allowed to think that. You're a Black man. You can't think that. You're not allowed to think that. You're not a woman. You have to think this because you're a woman. It's standing up in the face of all of that and saying, no, I am my own person. I am governed by what I believe to be truth. And I can live up to any expectation that I set for myself. I think that is an energy, that is a love, and that is a passion that I hope that I work every day to share with the world. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Hey guys, it's Jose, your regular Joe Blow, keeping an eye out and my ears open. As always, respect is due where respect is due. So smart, brilliant, full of light. This is a flower you cannot keep in the shade. She needs the light. And thank you for your work. Such a bright, bright path. Such a bright future coming. God has truly blessed her with her purpose. Early, Miss Owens, I salute you and your work. You have landed my number 5 for this month of American history. You truly have landed yourself in the history books. Keep up the great work. I can only imagine what is to come of your future. Time shall tell. Thank you guys for sticking with me to the end. Stay free.
It ain't hard to tell. I excel, then prevail.